gonna wrap myself in a little burrito here. So, 3 relationships that all become entangled in the big climactic event that is told with this book. Like I said, each chapter leads up to the big event. So we find out that Jane, when she was 19, she was raped and sexually assaulted by a man, Ziggy's father. She's very secretive on the matter. We see immediately that she chews a crap ton of gum. And when I first saw that it was a thing of hers, I thought maybe it was nicotine gum, maybe she was trying to quit the habit. But it turns out that when we learn about Jane's past, the man that raped her kept saying that she had really bad breath. So that is the reason for her gum addiction. Madeline is dealing with, she has 3 children. 2 are with her current partner, and the other is with her now ex-husband, who is Nathan, who is married to his new wife, Bonnie. She is homeopathic. She's into Bikram yoga. She's into being healthy. I think she's a vegan. And with each scene between Madeline and Abigail, you can really see the tension between a mother who just wants her little girl back to a daughter who wants to just move farther away from Madeline's parenting style and go more into the direction of her new mother and her father. So we see throughout the story that Abigail wants to be vegan. She claims she wants to be vegan. She is doing a project to make sex slavery awareness in these third world countries by auctioning off her virginity, like to raise money for awareness in sex trafficking, which is so crazy. I mean, when I read about that part, I did understand the meaning, and again, Madeline and I were very just like on it. Like, we were both telling Abigail, look girl, you crazy. I understand where you're going with this, but you're going about it all wrong. You're losing your virginity. You're doing this really gross thing. Men just aren't thinking about money when they look at you, and it was a very big thing. So Madeline blames Bonnie for Abigail wanting to move further away from her relationship. Also sees that Nathan has matured. However, he still can be a little dim-witted sometimes, especially when it comes to being influenced by Bonnie. There are some decisions he makes that definitely have Bonnie all written over them, and Madeline frequently has these moments where she looks at her ex-husband and she goes like, do you not understand what you're doing? Abigail needs to do this. And Nathan and Bonnie say, no, she doesn't. And Abigail says, no, I don't. So it's like one against 3. And Madeline just knows that there's no hope in just fighting what she wants for her daughter, because ultimately Bonnie and Nathan are going to have the last say. And so it's very difficult for her to stand aside and watch as her little girl is growing and developing into a completely different person from where Madeline stands. And that's very heartbreaking. I mean, I couldn't even imagine being a mother and seeing that happen. I mean, just knowing that your child's growing up would be something big in itself, but knowing that she's growing up and being influenced almost in the wrong ways, I feel like that's maybe not the correct sentence to use. Now let's go to Celeste. Celeste is married to a man named Perry. She has 2 sons. Celeste and Perry are definitely the Kate Middleton and Prince William of this small community. Quite literally a picture-perfect marriage. You know, it's a very nuclear family. When you go into it, it's very rocky and it's very sad. Celeste is abused by her husband. Almost like a cat and mouse game between Perry and Celeste. Perry travels for work most of the time, and usually that's after he's abused Celeste. So Celeste knows that when he goes away on business, he will come back with the most extraordinary, expensive piece of jewelry you could find as an apology and as a way of saying, here's this, I will never do this again. But Celeste knows it's going to happen again. And so it's very much, it's cat and mouse, but it's also power play. Celeste knows that she has the upper hand when Perry is hurt and he's sad that he did this to her. But that just goes away immediately, and Perry has the upper hand, and he's strong and he's violent, and nothing can stop the rage that courses through his veins. There's one scene where they're out in public and Celeste makes a joke that, that if Perry does something, she'll divorce him. And everyone around her is laughing. Oh, Celeste, that's funny, ha ha ha. But there's something inside Perry that just makes her stop, like, oh my God, what did I do? But at the same time, she likes to play that game because she is on that edge of wanting to leave him. But it's so difficult because she stays for her children. And that is the most heartbreaking thing ever, because she doesn't want to put the children through that. She doesn't want the children to leave their father, because she explains in the book, he is a great father. He comes home and he loves them and he plays with them. But there's just that violence that always comes back to her, that always has her second guessing. So she makes the joke about the divorce, and Perry's laughing too, but in his eyes Celeste can see that this is not going to end well. So they go home, and as soon as they're home, he grabs her hair, he pulls her head back, and he says, you cannot ever do that again. And he bangs her head against the wall several times until her face is bleeding and she just can't. And he leaves, and he comes back, and he's just, I'm so sorry, I won't do it again, what do you need from me? And it's very much a cycle. So Celeste gets to the point in the book where she knows that she needs to get out of this relationship. But again, she doesn't want to hurt the children. So there's one point in the book where she actually gets an apartment ready, and she makes a plan. She can leave while he's away. She can take the boys, and she can file for divorce, and that'll be it. But every time Perry, Perry steps up, or Perry's the best husband and the best father, and she's like, well, he is good right now, he probably won't do it again, everything's fine, and then he'll go back to abusing her, and it's just a exhausting, emotional, awful circle that they go through. So that's Celeste. And so now we move to Jane. Jane's a single mother. She moved here with her son Ziggy. That's such a cute name. Jane moves to this community with Ziggy. Ziggy's father is not mentioned in the book. It's not mentioned in the early chapters. Jane, all we know is Jane has come to town. She is a single mother, and that's all we know. She is very secretive. She is very lip-locked when it comes to her side of the story and why she's here. So we find out later on that when Jane was 19, she met a man at a bar, and this man raped her. This man sexually assaulted her and sexually abused her, and he is Ziggy's father. But she doesn't want Ziggy to know. She really doesn't want anyone to know. She's very secretive about it until she tells the entire story to Madeline. So with each chapter of this book, we delve more into these women's separate lives, and we delve more into the drama that's going on. So at the beginning of the book, Jane enrolls her son in the local school where Madeline's children go, and Celeste's children go, and Renata's children go. Renata is another, she I want to say she is part of the group, but she's not as close as the other three women. Hell hath no fury. She does not let anyone get in her way. Renata's not really a force to be reckoned with legally. That's a good way to describe it. She is very much a legal beaver. At the beginning of the book, Jane's son goes to the orientation day, and one of Renata's children come out with choke marks on her neck, and she immediately says that Ziggy has hurt her, and Renata just lets the flames go and demands that this child be taken out of the school and taken out of the community, and actually starts a petition to have all the parents sign to get this family out of the community. So, find out that Perry is Saxon Banks. So there's one part, and it says, when Jane told Madeline the story about the night at the hotel with Saxon, it hadn't even occurred to her to tell her that he was part of the reason she moved to Perry. It was preposterous and embarrassing. You wanted to run into him? Madeline would have said, trying her best to understand. You wanted to see that man? How could Jane explain that she did and she didn't want to see him? Anyway, she'd forgotten all about that real estate brochure. She had moved to Perry on a whim, and Saxon clearly wasn't there. But now here he was, Celeste's husband. He must have been married to Celeste at the time he met Jane. We actually find out Amabella, such a weird name, Renata's child, actually lied and said it was Ziggy, but it wasn't Ziggy. It was actually one of Celeste and Perry's son. So in the end, it makes sense why their son is abusing and hitting girls, is because Perry did it to Celeste and he did it to Jane. So after Perry falls, Madeline's ex-husband, is freaking out. Like, you guys saw that, right? And Renata says, I didn't see anything. And Madeline says, I didn't see anything. And all the women look at Ed and say, I didn't see anything. I didn't see him fall. I was inside when it happened. And Ed is freaking out because he wants to Ed is Madeline's current husband. Nathan is her ex. Ed is almost furious at Madeline because she doesn't want to press any charges. She's basically just saying what happened to Perry was an accident. No one pushed him. No, there wasn't a big altercation that happened. He just fell. It was an accident. That's it. Celeste loses a husband. Jane gets some closure. I totally remembered something relevant. Bonnie, Madeline's ex-husband's wife, that's going to be so confusing, her father was really violent. And so this act of killing Perry, well, not wanting to kill Perry, but just wanting to get rid of him, was just something inwardly that she felt like she had to do because she wanted to stop the violence. She wanted to, she's had violence all her life and she just wanted to be able to say stop. Looking back on it, I really do think that this was a good ending. It wasn't the best ending, but I understand it, and it does add a climactic sense to the book as a whole. So yeah, at the beginning of this video, I was very black and white about how I hated the ending, but looking back on it, it does actually make a lot of sense, and I actually think the ending worked out really well, because, again, it didn't have to be a huge anticlimactic thing because there were several factors going into it. I mean, there were factors with Bonnie, with Jane, with Celeste, and with Renata, just all of these feelings coming together, and this person dies, and it gives closure to a lot of people. And it is still sad because it is, you know, Celeste's husband and a part of the community, but ultimately that ending is pretty good. So I'm going to redact what I just said about before. This book is great. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 stars. The characters are great. The plot is great. The climactic scene is great. So if you have picked up this book and you've read it, let me know what you think. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, as I've always said, hit me with your best shot, because this is what YouTube is. Let's talk about it. So I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars, and I will watch that TV series. I will. And if you watch a TV series, let me know what you think. Does it run away from the book adaptation? Does it stay pretty true to it? So let me know. Again, Big Little Lies, I give it a 5 out of 5 review. It was pretty good. So that's my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good day.